This is Populations and Resources, lesson 3.4, the last lesson for the year. Hallelujah. Anyways, this is activity 2. You should have already done the warm-up. So, in chapter 2, we determined that an increase in the zooplankton population could have caused bursts in the moon jelly population to increase. We also determined that a decrease in the sea turtle population could have caused bursts in the moon jelly population to decrease. Either of these situations could have resulted in more bursts than deaths in the moon jelly population, which would cause the size of the population to increase. So again, just for review, we know that increasing the zooplankton means there's more energy storage molecules for the moon jellies. If there's more energy storage molecules, that means the bursts will increase, and so the bursts are greater than the deaths, and then the moon jelly population would increase. Now on the other side, if we decrease the sea turtle population, that means they now need less energy storage molecules to live, so they'll be eating less moon jellies, and so the moon jellies will have less deaths. So now there's more bursts than deaths because the deaths decreased and the population could go up. So these are two possible ways for the moon jelly population to increase. So we've also learned that the size of a population can be affected by populations other than its consumer or resource populations. So in the previous lesson, we just talked about how the algae population and the walleye pollock population and the orca population could have all caused the size of the moon jelly population to increase, but we needed more evidence to be sure about what happened in Glacier Sea ecosystem. So that's what this is about here, is about indirect effects. So in claim 1, it says the size of the algae population changed. So in order for that to cause the moon jellies to increase, so if the algae population increases, that means that there's more energy storage molecules for the zooplankton. So if the zooplankton have more energy storage molecules, they will reproduce more. And if they reproduce more, their bursts increase. And so now their bursts are greater than their deaths, and their population increases. And so now that's a direct relationship, and we know that if this population increases, there's more energy storage molecules for the moon jellies will reproduce more, and now their bursts are greater than their deaths, and they'll increase. So that's how claim 1 would work. Claim 2 is the size of the walleye population changed, and so these are competing for the same resource. So the walleye pollock and the moon jelly compete for the same resource, and so we know in order for the moon jelly population to increase, that means that the walleye pollock population would have to have decreased. So if there's less walleye pollock, they're eating less zooplankton. So now there's more zooplankton available for the moon jellies. And so if the moon jellies have more energy storage molecules in the form of zooplankton, they will reproduce more, and that will result in more bursts than deaths, and the moon jelly population would increase. So lastly, claim 3 is that the orca population changed. So if the orca population were to decrease, then that means that they're eating, orca population was to increase, that means they're eating more sea turtles. And then if the sea turtle because if there's more orca, they need more energy storage molecules, so they'll be eating more of their resource population of the sea turtles. So if the sea turtles then decrease in size, that means they need less energy storage molecules to live, so they'll be eating less of the moon jellies. So that would mean that there's less deaths of the moon jellies. So now the moon jelly population would increase because their deaths have decreased, so there's more bursts than deaths. What we need to do in this activity is find out whether any of those things happened, or did the size of the algae population change in the right way, or at all? Did the size of the walleye population change in the right way at all? Or did the orca population change in the right way or at all? So in order to explain the jelly population increasing, we're going to be looking at evidence about the other populations, whether they change size or not. So you are going to be downloading a new piece of evidence. So in 2.7, we looked at these evidence cards. So now in 3.4, we're going to be looking at these evidence cards for now, but then we'll also go back to the other ones and compare them all together. So in order to get this, you need to go to Canvas. There's going to be 3 videos. So the first video you're watching now, and you're getting instructions, and so you're going to download this into Notability 3.4 Activity 2, and you're going to be doing what it says on page 1 here. So you're going to be looking at each evidence card, and you're going to annotate the cards by describing the samples. So are the samples little, a lot, close together, spread apart? What do they look like? So there's 3 cards here. You're going to describe that. You can do that in this space, the blank space, or you could organize your thoughts down here. And then you're also going to try to figure out which samples best represent the whole population. So what I want you to do is I want you to put a 1, a 2, and a 3. I want you to rank these in order of which ones you think are the best evidence, where 1 is the best, 2 is next, 3 is last. If you happen to think some of them tie, say that. So maybe you just do 2 1s and a 2. I don't know. You figure it out. Figure out how the samples are described on each card. Write that down on the cards, and then decide which sample best represents the whole population. Remember, that's how we're evaluating evidence in this unit. Strong evidence are samples that represent as much of the whole as possible. So we want to decide which one of these represents as much of the whole as possible, and that's how you decide which ones of these are the strongest evidence. So that's all you're doing for page 1. You're going to download the 3.4 Activity 2 Note evidence cards into Notability, describe the samples on each card, and then decide which cards are the best evidence, which ones represent the whole as possible. And then you're going to go watch the second video. Don't turn it in quite yet because you're going to be going back to it. So download the Notability, complete the annotations, and then watch this.